The mayoral race for mayor here in my fair city with Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani going head to head. Although lately the polls have been veering a little bit more towards Mamdani, and Cuomo is not really happy about that. So he's trying everything. He's like doing the Donald Trump thing, throwing shit at the wall. Speaking of which, he actually did have some phone conversations with Donald Trump just to let you know how he is more gravitating towards a Republican. By the way, do you remember COVID? Do you remember how he railed against Trump and now he's calling him up like they're buddies, trying to figure out a way to screw Zoran out of being mayor? I mean, we could have a democracy and we could have an election, or we could just have it our way. You got fucking Burger King Donald Trump and his royal onion ring. Anyway, we got breaking points with Crystal Ball here, and this is actually a pretty good report on what's going on currently with the mayoral race. Ryan Grimm here, by the way.
This
is a tweet that Andrew Cuomo put out. Somewhere late last night in New York City, a single mother and her children slept at a homeless shelter because of you, Zohran Mamdani. Wow, coming in hard. Are occupying her rent-controlled apartment. You grew up rich and married even wealthier woman. Andrew Cuomo is a fucking rich-ass Nepo-Baby. He's worth millions of dollars. It is pretty, pardon the pun, rich of him to be pointing out the amount of money that somebody else has, when this guy has got buckets of money and he is cashing in on his father Mario's last name. Just another fucking Nepo child. You grew up rich and married even wealthier woman. You had weddings on 3 continents. You own property in LGBTQIA murderous Uganda. Just because he's from Uganda, now he's here in America. Does that kind of illustrate that he did not want to? Yeah, man, sure, whatever you say. You make $142,000 a year plus stipends, which, by the way, in New York City, $142,000 is middle class. If you don't live in New York City, then you don't know how much money that is. Andrew Cuomo sure as shit knows, and he knows that that's the kind of money that he finds in his own fucking couch cushions. A year plus stipends, and your wife works too, meaning you together likely make over $200,000 no matter which way you cut it. Zohran Mamdani is a rich person. No, he's not. He's not. But okay, you're a rich person. It takes one to know one, huh? You are actually very rich. You let your wife pay $2,300 a month. By the way, that is a rent stabilized apartment. And that's $2,300 a month. That still is quite a bit of money. As you have bragged for a nice apartment in Astoria, that should be housing for someone who needs it. So Andrew Cuomo is basically doing that centrist lib thing of let's means test everything. And in my opinion, it seems like what he wants to do is kick people in rent stabilized apartments out of their homes so the new landlord can raise the rent up to market value. Now, sometimes they might be able to stay as rent stabilized apartments, but they still get to raise that up. So this is nothing but a benefit to to building owners, landowners, apartment owners, landlords. This is Andrew Cuomo doing DEI for landlords. We are in the middle of a historic affordability crisis. Like, you give a flying fuck about that. You were trying to give tax breaks to rich people. You've already talked about it. That's why you want to become mayor, so you can do it like Mike Bloomberg did. You said this. This is a quote from you. Millions of low-income New Yorkers need this apartment, and there are millions of them. They're out there banging down the doors. They need this apartment, this particular apartment. Needs this apartment and an apartment like it. Yet your apartment remains rented to rich people who don't need it. Today, I'm going to means test you and kick you out because you make too much money. I mean, that's basically saying, hey, don't you dare get a raise just in case you're in a rent stabilized apartment. Because if you get a raise, then somebody's going to have to check those records and be like, oh, well, you make a little bit too much money. Now you have to get fired. So now you're telling your boss, don't give me a raise. I don't want to make more money because I might lose my apartment because of Andrew Cuomo and his fucking bullshit ass means testing. Today, I'm calling on you to move out immediately and give your affordable housing back to an unhoused family who needs it. Leaders must show moral clarity. It's time to move out. And he also said that he wanted to start this new law. He's going to call it Zohran's Law, as if he's owning this shit. Anyway, back to the video. I'll try not to interrupt.
It started with, Cuomo realizing or remembering from the debate or something that Mamdani had said that he lives in a one-bedroom efficiency in Queens that he pays $2,300 a month for, and that it's rent stabilized. And so he then adds together Mamdani's assembly salary plus his wife's salary, I think, at like a nonprofit, and suggests that they're making at least $200,000. So he calls him, quote, a rich person, and then he says, you are actually very rich, which a lot of Cuomo's donors probably made $200,000 plus and do not consider themselves rich in New York. So then he says, basically he needs to move out of this, needs to move out of his apartment. Let's play D2 here.
Rent stabilized units, when they're vacant, should only be rented to people who need affordable housing, not people like Zohran Mamdani. You don't need to be renting rent stabilized units to wealthy people. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're abusing the system. I'm going to propose not rent that apartment by law, except to a person who actually needs affordable housing. And
means testing is what he's saying. He is going to means test. So we're going to be checking your records to make sure that you don't make too much money. And the moment you start making a little bit better money, you're doing a little bit better, you're doing better at your job, and you get a promotion, oops, now you got to lose your apartment, and now you're out looking for another apartment and you lost your rent stabilized unit. What the fuck, man? Does that mean you're incentivizing people to not get raises and not do better at their job? Or else you're going to lose your place. I don't know if you've ever had to move out of your apartment to somewhere else, but I can tell you that is one of the most stressful things that anybody can do in their life is have to move. And I've lived in an apartment which I loved very much. And a landlord decided, hey, it's, my lease ended, and he's like, hey, the market says that I can charge you $2,000 more a month in rent. And I'm like, I can't afford that. He goes, well, you need to hit the bricks. And now he's trying to means test this into a law to kick out Zohran Mamdani out of his house on principle. Man, fuck this guy. Seriously, fuck this guy.
call it Zohran's Law because it's an abuse of the system.
So he wants to make this race about rent control and rent, and so he comes out with this Zohran's Law. So let's put up D3 here. Under Cuomo's proposal, when a rent-stabilized apartment becomes vacant, the incoming individual income would be capped so that the annual rent makes up at least 30% of that income. For example, if an apartment rents for $2,500 a month, the new tenant's income could not exceed $100,000. And so we can get to Mamdani's great response in a moment. But Crystal, I used to live in New York and actually lived in a rent-stabilized apartment. And one of the things you learn there is that the landlords want nothing more than to get you out of the rent-stabilized apartment, because when they get you out, they can then bump the rental price to the market condition. In some cases, it stays rent-stabilized, but you have a new floor. Now it's the new market rate, and then it can only move by the slight percentage or zero if Mamdani gets his rent freeze through. In other cases, it's taken out of rent stabilization and becomes a pure market rate apartment. So in either case, the landlord wins. So they're constantly, desperately trying to get people out of these apartments, and the renters are constantly playing a cat and mouse game of trying to stay in the apartments. Here comes Cuomo, squarely on the side of the landlords, saying that
he's on the side of the landlord, yet he is pretending he's on the side of the people and the renters, and it's so fucking obvious that he's not. But for some reason, he's managed to work this up in his head that I got him now. I totally got him.
He's going to kick out people who don't meet these income requirements, and once it becomes vacant, there's going to be these onerous restrictions that you have to make, very, you have to, in New York, 100 grand. Otherwise,
it's not a lot of money in New York
you're not
City.
eligible for this apartment. What did you make of this? And we do want to get to Mamdani's clapback. What did you make of Cuomo's brilliant gambit here?
Well, the irony is, as I read it, Zohran's law, quote unquote, wouldn't even apply to Zohran, because when Zohran was able to obtain this apartment, he was only making $44,000 a year. So he would have qualified. And the law does not actually say, now we're going to kick out people who exceed this threshold, because that would be politically insane. Like the number of, because I mean, just think about what that would mean for your average person. Oh, you do a little bit better, you get a raise at your job, and now you're getting kicked out of your apartment. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. And now you're out there in market rate, New York City, and it's just you've taken a step forward in your career and like 10 backwards in terms of your living standards. Like that would be absolutely insane. So somebody realized, okay, well, we can't actually do that. That would be really bad. And politically, it would be completely toxic. So instead, he wants to implement these new income standards that would essentially mandate that everyone who ends up in a rent stabilized apartment is like rent burdened, like officially rent burdened. So it's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous all the way around. And, also highlights an issue, which is rent affordability and housing affordability. That is one of Zohran's strongest possible issues.
So, honestly, I mean, that is one of the reasons why people voted for him, because he has illustrated, he's talked about, and he seems to understand that renting in New York is very difficult. And I can attest to that. It is not easy whatsoever. And I tell you what, rent always go up, it never go down. Anyway, let's go to Zohran's clapback here, which was pretty good. Man, the dude has definitely got political chops. I'll give him that. I will definitely give him that.
Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace, and you probably know why.
The governor's office kept the nurse.
Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace, and you probably know why.
The governor's office kept the nursing home death data secret.
Cuomo aggressively groped an aide.
Inappropriately touched a female state trooper.
Use of state resources for a COVID-19 memoir.
Less well known is what he spent the last 4 years doing, besides getting trounced in the Democratic primary. In 2022, Cuomo started Innovation Strategies LLC to represent individuals and corporations in a variety of matters. Definitely not vague. Last year, it raked in more than $500,000. Who paid for?
Oh yeah, man. He makes he makes $142,000. He's a rich guy. This guy, $500,000 on his little deal, his little side project.
Services? He refuses to say. But what journalists have been able to piece together is troubling. In April, Bloomberg revealed that Cuomo advised a cryptocurrency exchange based in the Seychelles as it faced federal investigations. Then in May, Politico reported that Cuomo failed to disclose $2.6 million in stock options to the New York City Conflicts of Interest Board. His excuse? The stocks were technically owned by Innovation Strategies LLC, of which he's the sole proprietor. Finally, in June, the New York Times uncovered that Cuomo...
I didn't make that money. It was my company that made that money. I'm nothing to do with that. That's a separate entity. I don't get any... I don't... Moving on.
Worked with his longtime friend Andrew Farkas on a luxury marina project in Puerto Rico. Farkas' previous partner on luxury marinas in the Caribbean, Jeffrey Epstein.
We had a finance chair like none other, Andrew Farkas.
That's the thing about Andrew Cuomo. Once
Oh, God.
You found out...
Man, did you see that picture? I got to see that picture again.
Once you think you found out about all of his scandals, you find out about another. Once you think you found out about all of his
God damn,
scandals...
this thing goes by fast. Sorry.
Farkas.
That's a...
There is Andrew Cuomo, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and this Farkas dude. Man, you hang out with the best people, Andy. You really do.
About Andrew Cuomo. Once you think you found out about all of his scandals, you find out about another, and then another, and then probably another. But if my friend, the disgraced former governor of the state of New York, feels that's unfair, Habibi, release your client list.
Oh, man. Oh, that was fucking hard, man. Hashtag release your client list. Release the Cuomo list. So old Andrew was doing everything he can to clap back hard on Zohran Mamdani's trying to help out the common man with the rent. And Andrew Cuomo's like, yeah, but have you thought of the landlords? Those poor landlords out there, man, they're suffering. They're fighting hard in the trenches. You know, they're out there rubbing their nickels together, and they're trying so hard. Have you not thought about landowners and wealthy people and how they would feel if they had to pay a little bit more in tax, or landlords had to make a little bit less money in rent? Have you thought about those people? Because that's all I do all day long, because they're always making phone calls to me and throwing buckets of cash at me. And, you know, I ultimately serve the people that pay me the most. And, you know, right now, my job is trying to take you down and make sure that you don't become mayor of the state. I mean, the city. Thankfully, like I said, in the polling recently, I think it's a polling of 5 people. We got Mamdani, Cuomo, Eric Adams, who is sucking hind tit here, and he's even less popular than Eric Sliwa, who is running as a Republican. And honestly, I don't want either one of them, but Sliwa is, you know, a little bit more favorable than the bought and paid for MAGA chud Eric Adams, you know, who basically owns him. He owns him because Eric Adams is busted dead to rights for corruption charges. Donald Trump dismissed the charges, so Eric Adams will allow ICE to do their dastardly deed at every courthouse in the city, making sure that they have free and open access to arrest, detain, and deport anybody that they want to. And when Eric Adams is gone and we get Zohran Mamdani as mayor of the city, he's going to be putting up a lot more fight against ICE. And then I suspect that that's when Donald Trump is going to be like, there's so much crime in New York City, we're going to have to send the National Guard and the military. We're going to have to do something because New York City is on fire, man. It's very dangerous out there. Meanwhile, I live in New York and there's no problems. But sure, man, whatever you say, you were just looking for an excuse to move into this city and bring your fascism with you. Anyway, good on Zohran for being able to just easily cut through the bullshit, and shame on you, Andrew Cuomo. Shame on you, you little pathetic little Nepo child, you. You suck. You know you suck, and you're going to lose. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.